Support for Donnybrook Last Call is provided in part by Design Air Heating and Cooling.
Hey, welcome back to Last Call. Joe, it was, I got to take it. But anyway, it was call 7-11 at the sheriff's office because they're shooting dice for people's jobs. And it's just a kind of a reminiscent, maybe the Oval Office that, man, they're shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
Sheriff Montgomery is.
Sheriff Montgomery, somehow you think, how can you stand out in a city that is having all the problems that it is? It seems like the sheriff office has figured out a way to where now a candidate for alderman says he was fired from his sheriff's department job illegally, inappropriately, but said that the sheriff invited him into the office and said, you want to keep your job, you can roll these dice, and pulls out a pair of gold dice and says, if you roll a 7, you keep your job. And he says you get 2 chances to do it. Now, Sheriff Montgomery has denied this. Little did he know there was a tape recording of the proceedings.
Here we go again, right there.
Yeah, technology strikes again, and there is a recording that has the entire transaction to where Sheriff Montgomery says about he makes all his big decisions by rolling the dice. And my problem is, it sounds like, just a mess, but what I don't get, at least with the people I grew up with, he gave Tony Kirchner 2 chances to roll a 7. First one, he rolls a 6. Second one, he rolls a 7. And he still fired him. That's welching on a bet.
That is.
And see, my point is for all the other things you can accuse somebody of, you made a bet with that man, and he won it.
Another interesting thing about it is in Missouri, you can legally tape a conversation even if the other party doesn't know. Mm-hmm. And in some states, you can't do that.
Right, right.
Like you can tape your phone calls, you can tape whatever you want.
Yep.
So I suppose you had like a little micro cassette?
Well, I mean,
he's not saying exactly how, but he had something.
Who was the John Bruner and Eric Greitens?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, my God.
Wow, we're going way, way back. But what two of my friends, Mike and Tim, won't give any last names, but they were married. Vernon Betts was still, this was in December. Vernon Betts was Sheriff Betts, and he looked at me and he said, you're not going to like this. You're just not going to like this. And this is no way to run the sheriff's department, in my very humble opinion.
Which also included having a fellow law enforcement officer, although he's not really a law enforcement officer, but somehow he had her in handcuffs. What? I mean, that was the one that, now what's going on?
Well, the FBI is investigating that one, so yeah.
Apparently he was going to question people.
Yeah.
And the head of the jail said you couldn't question people, so he handcuffed the head of the jail. And the mayor complained about that. and the head of the Department of Public Safety has said the sheriff just flat out lied on television in an interview. So a lot of things in just 6-7 short weeks in office.
We need Vernon Betts back.
No kidding.
And I honestly did not think it would be like this fast. But at the same time, why am I not surprised? Because that's where we are throughout America. And I'm not really picking on, like I said, I'm not just saying Washington, D.C. It's almost like anything goes right now if you have the votes that put you in office. And it's almost impossible to remove someone from office. And we were talking about school and screens. The odds of you throwing any particular number with 2 dice is 1 in 36, and that does not change no matter how many times you hit a number in a row.
We couldn't hit a 7. At KMOX, we got dice today. We were throwing dice all day long. We couldn't hit 7.
You didn't even get 1.
You didn't get 1?
Wow.
My co-host Chris Ranji did. I never got it.
Now, Chris Ranji from Chicago, see?
That's probably why. That dirty dice throwing.
Well, in crabs, sometimes hitting 7's good, sometimes hitting 7's bad.
Exactly.
It's like,
All right. Well, in Missouri, we are not maybe the most progressive state. And in Illinois, they, see things a little bit differently. Well, guess what state you can own a raccoon as a pet, and guess which state you can't. In Missouri, you can own a raccoon as a pet, keep a raccoon as a pet. Illinois, you can not. Now, I think you should be free to have a raccoon as a pet. I didn't grow up in the country, but if you want to feed them and keep them around the kitchen, maybe anybody.
What? Keep them around the kitchen. These are garbage. These are garbage dwellers. I agree. The difference between a rat and a raccoon. The raccoon has a much cuter outfit. There's no doubt about that. But it's still vermin, or it would fall under the vermin umbrella, Mr.
There's dogs
Holleman.
and there's cats.
That's right.
If you've exhausted all of your options with those, then maybe move on to a bird or some goldfish. But all these pot-bellied pigs and raccoons and snakes and lizards, get out. They're not pet. They're vermin. They should be outside the house, not inside.
Amy, you have an affinity apparently for bats.
No, I'm terrified of bats. I'm terrified of mildew and gum disease. But because the bats have the rabies, and here's the thing with the raccoons, it may sound cute to have a raccoon, maybe up in Chicago or something. Have you seen the Franklin County raccoons? They make them different out in Franklin County. The deer are different in Franklin County. The raccoons are different in Franklin County.
Like on steroids or something.
Yeah.
Or
like
exposure to some weird.
The raccoon will have you as a pet.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, I think
different.
they're too smart. And you were mentioning pigs. I had a friend who had a pig, and suddenly he didn't know their lifespan, and he was told they lived to be 40 years.
He had to make arrangements for the pig in his will.
I don't want the rest of my life partnered with this pig.
So then they let the pig go and it roams around wild. I mean, it's why these things are called wildlife. They're supposed to be outside in the wild. I put raccoons in that category.
Okay, and like, all kidding aside, you know what happens to these animals? And like if you end up with like a raccoon for a pet, you know where they end up when you don't want it anymore?
Flushed down.
In the sewer.
Or in the shelter. And you know, we're talking about
What?
that. No, this is where, like you said, like, hey,
With the dogs?
I've got. They may not be in the county shelter with the dogs, but quite frankly, they probably would have a better chance of surviving if they didn't.
They can live anywhere, though. That's the thing about raccoons.
No,
long
pretty
as they're a
much.
couple
They can live in your house, obviously, in Missouri anyway.
Right.
All right, we're going to stay with animals. The Battlehawks tickets are going on sale, okay? And, hey, we draw more people than any other team in that league, the UFL, and I'm telling you, people get excited. They have a great time when they go to these games. Has anyone here other than me been to a Battlehawks game? Raise your hand if you've been to a Battlehawks game. Okay, just me. All right, would you go to a Battlehawks game?
I have a very strange history with the Battlehawks because I believe nothing that fun.
Okay.
I really.
Really?
Whoa. I really believed in my pea-sized brain, that the Battlehawks were kind of like an hors d'oeuvre before the NFL came back. That the NFL, this is before the settlement was reached and all of that. I really thought, and I thought it was so exciting because we were breaking records, we had all this enthusiasm. The NFL is going to regret what they did, leaving us on the side of the road and driving their little sports car out to California. But when that did not come to pass, I lost all interest in the Battlehawks. I thought that they were just sort of like a placeholder. But I do understand what you're saying. People do have a lot of fun there.
Packer fan, tailgating, fun,
No.
jovial times? No.
It's baseball season coming up. See,
That's right.
I'm simple, okay, and I've got a baseball mindset, and then somewhere around September, October, it starts to open up and allow football in, and then I go through the football season. And then baseball again, and it just is kind of nice, and I don't have to think a lot.
You don't have
You start
the
giving me
bandwidth.
football in the summer, and I'm going to get confused.
You going to take the grandkids to see the Battlehawks, man?
I don't think so. Maybe take them to a ball game or a hockey game is a
Yeah.
great thing. Expensive tickets, but the Battlehawks, I think they might be a little too raucous to take grandkids to, from what I hear.
Yeah, it does sound like there is a
It's like
a
taking
real
them to the
commitment
Indy 500.
to having
There's
a
some
great
heavy
time.
drinking going on.
I went to the Indy 500. I was like 12.
Yeah. Kids need to know what it's like out there. Stop
I've never
sheltering
been
the
there.
kids.
I don't
Take
know what I'm
those
talking
screens
about.
away.
Take the phone away.
Go to
Give them
Battlehawks.
Battlehawks tickets. Give them a hot dog and say, that's Bud Light. You'll
That's
get it
right.
one day.
All right. We had relatives in Indianapolis. That's how we ended up. That's how I ended up going. Leave us alone. All right, Amy, have you ever been?
No, I haven't. But I think we should. I mean, it's like we were talking about parades today. I love the idea of a parade. I don't really go to parades, but I like knowing they're going on. So I love knowing the Battlehawks are here.
She's
I'm
somebody
like that with
after
so
our own
many
heart.
things.
You know what? You're a
I was
woman
going to
after
say
our
the
heart,
same thing.
Ann.
I was going to say, you know
You love
what?
the idea
That's
of
a
a
grand
parade. You love
philosophy.
the idea of a football game, but I'm going to stay right here on the couch.
I like knowing they're going on.
It's like Mardi Gras celebrations. I'm done going to them.
Yeah, we've aged out.
But
But I'm
appreciate
glad
it.
there's somebody
Still going
going
on.
to
And the
it.
symphony.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nice to have a good
Oh,
symphony.
no, we went from the Mardi Gras to the symphony. I'll see you at the Mardi Gras. All right. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week on Donnybrook and Last Call. Have a great week.